the joint chiropractic adjustment of the game. Hurricanes quarterback Diaz King going up top, lets this one fly, and look at that catch by wide receiver Keyshawn Smith. The redshirt freshman from San Diego lays out, stretches out every fiber of his body to make the play. The joint chiropractic adjustment of the game. Welcome back to the show, everybody. Joe Zagacki with Don Bailey Jr. And joining us on this segment, he is our sideline reporter on the radio, handles the podcast here for the University of Miami, our intrepid sideline reporter, Josh Darrow. Joshua, welcome to the show. Glad to have you with us.
Thank you, Joseph. Donald, it's like a reunion.
That's right.
I like it.
All right, so we're 2 games in, and one of the things that we've seen so far, one of the big question marks was going to be Diaz King. He is leading the ACC in total offense. And so far, I think he's been pretty darn good.
Joe, I think he had his breakout game really last week against Alabama. He threw the ball well, 9 for 9 in the beginning of the football game. He looked comfortable, but he didn't look comfortable running the football. After what we saw against App State, there's no question in my mind that all the cobwebs are clear about him running, and he powered through some tackles as well. I was very impressed with him pulling it down and picking up extra yards.
And I think that was kind of part of the plan. As Coach Diaz was talking about, they're dropping 7, dropping 8. There's hard windows to throw in. That becomes a part of the offense, right? It's like, oh, the play doesn't work. No, that is part of the play. That's why you have Diaz King as your quarterback, right? You have him because he can do that. And we saw a year ago, too, he's not only quick, he's tough. And I think all of us were amazed at what we saw at camp, his ability to cut after the injury he went on. His rehabilitation was exceptional. And I think Don's right. He's a game under his belt. I think he now feels comfortable being what we need him to be, which is that true dual threat.
By the way, I think the other thing that teams are doing against Diaz King, I think they're being pretty creative with it. They are assigning players to him. They are assigning, we'll call him a spy or whatever, but they are assigning a player to Diaz King to watch him all across the field.
You can assign him all you want, but he does it. It's not like designated runs. But he's going where he sees the opening. He's going where he sees the break in the action. And I think he brings such an element that's important in today's college football because, as we talked about with Coach Diaz, now they're covering with 8 guys and they're bringing 3. There's a big gap between those 3 and you get to that 8.
Plus, I liked there were some design runs we saw, right? They call them like quarterback lead, right? Where there was Cam Harris or Don Chaney was leading the way and Diaz's getting to the outside. So now we got Rhett Lashley incorporating design plays with Diaz King. And he had one. He almost busted one to the house. Yeah. He tripped.
That's right.
He would have house called it, and that would have been a whole different story for the game. But he can go. I mean, we saw him go 50, 60 plus a year ago. Plus, it didn't work in this game, but there was a play where they tried to run that pop pass again where they got him leaning. But, give credit to App State. They covered it well. But you see Rhett Lashley incorporating more things around Diaz King.
The passing game has some issues that have to be worked out. But we have seen an improvement, I think, in the reliability of some certain wide receivers. Rambo has done a good job, and really probably the most pleasant surprise, and we saw this in training camp. They were pushing Keyshawn Smith, and he has made some difficult catches so far.
He has, Joe, but the beauty of it to me is there's competition at that position. You've got guys that are having to work to keep their job. You have Harley, who was really the dominant force at especially the end of last year, but now Miami has got some outstanding wideouts, the guys that are on the edge, and Smith made a spectacular catch that we're all going to be talking about. It'll be on the highlight film when the banquet comes.
Oddly enough, the guy who dropped him the other night was the guy who would be the most reliable one, which is Mike Harley. But the Rambo catch on the sideline where he tiptoed down, obviously the catch by Keyshawn Smith was incredible. And we probably haven't seen all of Keyshawn Smith yet. I mean, for us that get the access to camp, I mean, his speed is blazing to just, really accelerate and get down the field and create a really big play. And then, of course, our man XR7, right? I mean, he's the guy, not much of a factor in this game, but we saw against Alabama, and we've seen it, through camp, his ability, if we're going to see more of this drop 7, drop 8, his ability to be savvy and kind of pick areas to sit down and creating a relationship with Diaz King, I think, is huge.
The big test in this game is going to be the Miami run defense. Now, they've been tested the first 2 weeks, but these guys are big, they've got a really good run game, and they run that cutback beautifully.
The offensive lines in that conference, coming out of that conference, They ran the ball in high school. They ran the ball in Little League. That's what they do. And so they got to learn to pass block. So now you get guys that play that position on the offensive line that are comfortable in mauling a defensive lineman. It's going to be difficult to hit a moving target. You know, you look at how Hunt's playing. If Nesta Silvera plays like he played against App State, against Michigan State, to me, he still is a guy that can turn his whole defensive front around. If Nesta's on fire like he was last week, they can't hit that moving target, but it's going to be important for Miami's front seven, but especially those defensive tackles to take control early.
And you kind of look at what Mel Tucker wants. I mean, it's kind of like he's out of the Nick Saban tree, right? All the guys he's either had on his roster, but really when you look at what he's bringing in, you talk about recruiting to a system. They're 6'5", 6'6", 6'7". They're averaging like 8 yards a rush. Mm-hmm. They're close to 300 yards in both games with different running backs. So you know what they're going to want to do, and just as much as maybe the Heat plays in our favor, you know, if they can get the running game going, they're going to try and wear us out. But to Don's point, Miami's always been good where they've had those quick twitch defensive tackles that can beat the girth, right? And then, as you saw with Manny, moving the line of scrimmage to make plays. I also think one of the key guys in this is John Ford. I think he had his best camp, and he's someone who can handle that kind of size. I know the coaches felt that way going into the Alabama game. Jordan Miller as well. So I think there's some nice complementary parts on the interior line for Miami.
Wayne Monsteed will have to step in for Keontre Smith. He and Corey Flagg are going to have to play really well, get into the gaps in a hurry. We will continue. We'll have more on the show right after this.
They cheer, they yell, they scream for the best moves. And the Miami Hurricanes are going to show you why they'll dominate the field this season. But for the best moves off the field, Good Greek Moving and Storage is the team you can rely on. We ensure a stress-free move on time and on budget, locally or nationwide.
And now, Good Greek is the official mover of the Miami Hurricanes.
Let Good Greek be your official mover too.
Good Greek Moving and Storage, your superhero movers.
The school bus.
The Zach Wagon.
Wally.
No matter what you call your car or why you're letting it go, AutoNation will buy it, and you don't have to buy one from us. We're paying top dollar right now. So go to AutoNation.com or come see us for a super easy appraisal. Get paid on the spot, and you can deposit it the same day. Visit any AutoNation store or AutoNation.com. What drives you drives us.